Aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and all my paranormal people. It's Lamech here with, your paranormal guy. First of all, I want to say that, once again, I got David Paulides' book, Missing 411, which is also called, titled Western United States and Canada, Unexplained Disappearances of North Americans That Have Never Been Solved. Okay, this is a very good book, and I'm pretty deep into it right now. Right now, I'm actually reading about a story about what's that guy's name? Oh, Charles Wesley McCullough. That's one of the names listed in his interviews. David Paulides' interviews on Coast to Coast AM, and that's right. Yes, I am a coastie. Been listening to Coast to Coast AM for the past 4 years, maybe 5. I'll tell you about maybe 5 years because I've been in my new operation at my job for about 5 years, or at least 6. But anyway, I told you I had another story for you, which I do. I wanted to discuss the mysterious disappearance of Stacy Anne Arras. That's Arras. Okay, now I was talking about 2-year-old children. Now I want to jump ahead and talk about teenagers, aka Stacy Anne Arras. She was 14 at the time when she vanished. She vanished July 17th, 1981. Okay, she disappeared about 3 miles southeast of Tenaya Lake in Yosemite National Park in California. Once again, like I said, she disappeared at the age of 14. Now, if there's a story that makes you think twice about how dangerous Yosemite National Park can be, this is definitely the case, because it's just weird how everything just happened. How she disappeared. But it started out, it was like a normal day for her at the time. She once again, like I said, 14 years old when she and her father joined a group of 10 people and their guide, for a trip through High Sierra camps on horseback. Now, the group stayed together because they wanted to stop at a place called Upper Cathedral Lake for lunch. And after that, they headed for their first night stop at Sunrise High Sierra camps. It was approximately 3 miles southeast of Tenaya Lake and 1.5 miles from Sunrise Lakes. The trip paralleled Highway 120, which is approximately 1 mile southeast. Now, Stacy had some aches and pains, from the long ride on horseback all day, trying to get to the place where they were trying to get to. So she quickly went to the old, well, they obviously got there. So she quickly went to the old cabin that her and her father shared, and she showered and changed her clothes. She wanted to, go out and take some pictures with her camera. So she started to leave, because she wanted, like I said, take a short hike, to stretch her legs. But before she could get out of the cabin, her father told her to make sure she wore, hiking boots, because she was going to be hiking on that trail, and it's pretty sure it was going to be pretty rugged, because we're talking about that. She didn't realize there was a boulder field in that area. Now, they were at least, well, she obeyed her father. She put her shoes on. So now they were at least at an elevation of 9,200 feet, in the mountains. So it was going to be a very slow hike, with a vast amount of exposed granite, aka boulder fields. And I've seen pictures of these boulder fields, and they are huge, so that's one heck of a walk. Walking either over all these boulders or through a path that leads to another area that they're trying to get to. I'm not sure. I've never been in one, let alone a park or a national park or whatever. Never been in any one of those places. Okay, so there was a guy named Gerald Stewart. He's about 70 years old. He also went on that horseback ride to that area, and he volunteered to go with Stacy on this little hike he went on. Now, Stacy and Gerald, they started out on this short hike, I'd say about 1.5 miles, to Sunrise Lakes. Now, the hike across, they hiked across giant slabs of granite with small clusters of large trees that surrounded many of the hundreds of small lakes in that area. Um, After only a few minutes, Gerald, he got tired, of course. You know, he's an old man, so whenever he was going to get tired from all that walking, and he explained to her that he was just going to, kick back and, sit on that boulder and rest for a while. So she said, okay, so I'm going to go down this embankment and take a picture of the lake, over here. So she does that. But at the same time, that, their guide, and his name, by the way, is Chris Grimes. He just happened to be looking, let's say, about 50 yards up that hill that they went up on from the position that he was at, which was at a corral, and caught a glimpse of her while she was actually standing on this, like on a large boulder. Now, when she was standing on this large boulder, at that time, that was the last time anyone on Earth ever saw her again. So she stared off into the distance and walked into the sunset at that point. Yeah, but there was a guy named Butch Farabee who wrote a book called Off the Wall. And in his book, he stated that the 9-day search for Stacey included 8,004 man hours, 57 hours of helicopter time, and 4 separate agencies, which included, like the SAR team, which is search and rescue. Now, these people, they searched all that time, and not one clue about what happened to Stacey ever surfaced. Now, that search alone cost them a total amount of $99,845 in 1981. That's a lot of money. Okay. Now, the potential value of the NPS, which is National Park Service, just in case you didn't know, tracking missing people cases may become more evident in her disappearance. But maybe they felt like it didn't need to be publicized, or they thought that there was no connection or relationship between Stacey's case and all the other cases of people that disappeared in our parks. But trust me, there was, because a lot of those people disappeared in the same area. So now David Paulides, he requested the National Park Service case file on Stacy Harris, when she disappeared, but he was denied each time. Now, why they did that, I don't know. Maybe there's something about this case that they know about that they don't want people to know. Now, maybe they encountered this thing or entity or spirit or whatever that is taking these people, and they might have been told by whatever this is to not say anything to anyone, or you'll be next. I don't know. I would think that would be the reason why, or they just know that they can't do anything to stop it, so they figure, what the hell? Why should we try to let people know about something we can't stop, including the families? But I think that's just wrong, because we're talking about people who are suffering the loss of their kids, who are anywhere between 2 and 25 years old, and their elders and their family members. All these people just vanish without a trace, and the ones that don't turn up dead with no ounce of evidence of death on their body. Okay, they're like this lifeless corpse. Kind of reminds me of a scene from this movie that Charlie Sheen was in years ago, back in the early 80s, called The Wraith, where every time he would kill someone that was involved in his murder, when they would find their bodies were wiped clean, but the eyes from their eye sockets were gone. But there was no sign of death on their body, except for the fact that their eyes were plucked out of their head. And we're talking about 1,000 degrees in the car when it blew up, when it went over this ravine called Dead Man's Curve. Anyway, so the bottom line in that whole story is that the old man saw her walk down into this embankment where that boulder field was, and he saw her walk around this line of trees where there was a path near the lake. She probably went in there to get a better vantage point, and to be perpendicular to the lake so she can get a better view, on her camera and take pictures. But she never came back at that point. So a large search ensued. They searched, like I said, for like 9 days and never found one ounce of her, or any evidence dealing with her disappearance except for the lens cap to her camera. Okay, so the camera was taken. So that's another thing about these cases. Whatever this thing is, it doesn't want anyone to know that it's doing this. So it's smart enough to take whatever evidence they may have that would indicate it. They were taken by something, which would be their phone or their camera. Now, if they're on the phone and they hear them, it'll connect with the person that they're trying to call, and they'll say something like, "Oh my God, where are you?" And then the phone line goes dead. There was a case where someone called 911 and it dropped within a second. Okay, there was another case where a person kept trying to call 911, but it kept being sent to some offshoot dealing with 911 for like hours. And then finally, when they got through, they rescued this person. But it was just strange how the phone line kept being sent to some offshoot dealing with 911. It was weird, But like I said, parents, they find it more easy for them to say my son or daughter was kidnapped. They can't never say that, oh, some entity took my child, but these are the little things that David Paulides seems to bring up, because of the cases and the evidence surrounding how they disappeared. I mean, just like Theo Kuntz, he just vanished when his grandfather turned his head for a second and boom, he's gone. Now, there will be evidence to a person, a little kid being grabbed. You're going to hear screaming and kicking, hearing the person being dragged off in the dirt. You're going to hear his feet dragging on the sand or whatever the case may be. And then, let's say a bear took that child. You're going to see the bear. Bears are very hard to miss, especially if it's a grizzly bear in an area like that. But as far as these other cases, they just vanish without a trace. And I'm thinking that whatever this thing is, it is a menacing entity or creature or whatever, but it has the ability to, it knows the human psyche and it knows how the human mind thinks. So it can do things in a way that we just can't understand. It takes people and they just disappear. And when they let them go, they're either dead without any evidence of death on their body, or they have a very strange story, or they can't remember nothing. And the only ones that really have these strange stories are the kids. Like, there was one kid, her name was Katie Flynn. When she disappeared, they found her, but she was miles away from where she was last seen, and she was standing on this log. There was this creature, a hairy thing, that jumped into the water when it let her go. And the thing swam off at top speed. And when the father was talking to her, he was like, "How come you didn't come to us when we called you?" And she said, "It wouldn't let me." And he was like, "What? You mean it wouldn't let you?" "It wouldn't let me." I said, "Well, what happened to your hat?" "He took it off my head and ate it in front of me." "What?" And then he said, "Well, did you at least get something to eat?" He said, "Yeah, he fed me some berries." Wait a minute, he fed you some berries? "Yeah, he put the berries in his paw and he handed them to me and I ate it." And we're talking about, she said, like, the dog, she called it a dog or it, so there's no way a dog can hold up his paw and hand you berries. But that's what she said. So I'm thinking it could be the dog man. I've heard stories about that in certain areas of the planet. Okay, and then there was another story about a little boy who said that he don't know what happened, he don't know how he got there, but he woke up in some cave where he was surrounded by dusty weapons and a bunch of robots. And one of them robots looked just like his grandmother, but he knew it couldn't have been his grandmother because there was sparks shooting out of the back of her head. She holds out this piece of paper and says, "You have to poo on this." He kept saying no. After the third time when she kept trying to get him to poo on it, and he kept saying no, whatever that thing was got mad, and he said he don't know what happened, but he woke up. He just all of a sudden found himself outside the cave. Okay, weird. So who knows? It's obviously something that's happening. It's just that parents just their minds can't get around that one thing, and that's that my kid was kidnapped or abducted. They don't want to think that something crazy happened, like they just vanished in thin air, or they were taken by some unseen entity. And that's what this is. It's never seen, and it always commits an act that is 100%. Without leaving any evidence, because humans are wired to leave evidence. That's just how we do. Whatever we do always leads back to us, no matter what, because that's just how we're wired. We are wired to leave evidence. But anyway, that's all I got. Got 10 minutes, so aloha, mahalo, ahui ho, and I will see you again. Peace.